Good morning and a warm welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in and for watching Smart 24 TV. My name is Anthony and this is Financial Markets, and we bring you the latest updates from the realm of financial markets, global and regional as well as local stocks. The show is proudly brought to you by Altex, and with Altex East Africa under Zabu, we are saying you can do something new. Altex East Africa is a body regulated by the Capital Markets Authority and gives you treasury bond markets now under the Zabu initiative through, of course, the Altex East Africa Clearing and Altex East Africa Trades. The Altex East Africa platform gives you now the bonds at as easy as, of course, getting to use your mobile money and simply using a USSD code. You can now dial *292# and invest starting with a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, and of course get to invest in the treasury bond market here within East Africa. That is from 8:15 a.m. all the way to 3:15 p.m. Altex East Africa, you can do something new. Now let's delve into the business of the Uganda Securities Exchange. On Monday, today being a Tuesday, we reflect on the trade as it happened yesterday. The markets opened at 9 a.m. here in Uganda, and they close at exactly 1 p.m. East African Standard Time. Now, on Monday, we saw at least 130,000 shares on the Uganda Stock Exchange traded, corresponding to a market value of 8.8 million Ugandan shillings. Comparing Monday with Friday, the trades improved at least by 8%, and a 57% decline in the turnover was registered. The day ended with at least 6 gainers and just 2 losers on the market. Amongst the top gainers included especially the cross listings such as KCB, East African Breweries Limited, the Equity Bank Limited stock, Centum Investments, and Jubilee Holdings Limited. Now, the KCB stock at least led the gainers with a 2.58% appreciation in price, closing at 774.61 Ugandan shillings per share. The East African Breweries Limited stock as well appreciated by 1.55% up to a price of 4,262.29 Ugandan shillings. Now, Uganda Craze Limited was the only domestic listing that appreciated by 1.38%, and the Uganda Craze stock closed at 14.0 Ugandan shillings per share. Now, what is Uganda Craze? Uganda Craze is, first of all, the oldest domestic listing we have on the Uganda Securities Exchange. The listing dates way back in the year 2000 when it got listed on the 18th of January at the inception of the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, the Capital Markets Authority was formed in 1997, and by 1998 the Uganda Securities Exchange had opened as well. When you look at the history on the Uganda Stock Exchange, Uganda Craze stock at least had one of the first listings, at least in as far as equity is concerned. But before that, we had bonds issued, a corporate bond. I remember we had the East African Development Bank corporate bond and a couple of other bonds that were listed by the government as well. And then later on, Uganda Craze got to list as a private company. Now, Uganda Craze, it deals in the manufacture and sale of clay products, especially for construction purposes. They, of course, mainly do business in production and sell of roofing tiles, walling, as well as other building materials and decorative clay products. The company enjoys a reputation, a very good reputation amongst consumers, being one of the best producers of high quality clay products in as far as the construction industry is concerned. In the Uganda Securities Exchange equity market, Uganda Craze has a stock of 12.6 billion Ugandan shillings. That is their current stock, which represents about 0.07% of the Uganda Securities Exchange equity market. Now, on Monday, the company traded 300 shares, and after the day's trade, there was a total value of just 4,200 Ugandan shillings, and the price appreciated by 0.19 Ugandan shillings. The stock price closed at 14.0 Ugandan shillings after the company's gain on the exchange. Now, over the longer term, weekly performances on the Uganda clay stock have improved by 7.69%. That is the appreciation in price in a week that we have registered at Uganda clays. However, in the longer term, for example, a month ago, when you compare Uganda clay's price a month ago, the price has depreciated slightly by 16.67%. And when you look at the year-to-date performance, the company began the year with a price of 17.20 Ugandan shillings. And now when you look at their current price at 14 shillings, they're counting losses of 18.6% in terms of year-to-date performance. Shareholders' worries could be compounded by the monthly losses of 7% as well. However, what could of course restore the hope of shareholders could be the fact that the company is now currently the 7th most traded on stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange over the past 3 months. From the 13th of April to the 17th of July, the company has traded at least a total volume of 235,209 shares, valued at 3.25 million Ugandan shillings over the period. On average, they trade at least 3,733 shares per trading session. That is Uganda Clays Limited for you. Away from the top gainers, we had 2 bottom losers, and at the bottom came the Nation Media Group, losing 0.25% and closed at a price of 517.7 Ugandan shillings. MTN Uganda also lost a value of 0.01% down to a price of 170.0 Ugandan shillings per share. MTN Uganda now currently is, when you look at their value, they have slightly moved backwards in terms of price, and this has affected their market capitalization. Equity Bank Limited now remains the most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, whereas now MTN is in the 2nd position. Before, just about a week and a half ago, MTN was the most valuable company. But because of the changes in price, the stock now is in the 2nd position in as far as value is concerned. The stock has at least 3.81 trillion Ugandan shillings worth of market capitalization. And this represents at least 21% of the exchange, meaning they are the second most valuable on the market. On Monday, there was 37,850 shares traded, and that's a 6.43 million turnover Ugandan shillings. They have 22.4 billion shares listed at 3.8 trillion Ugandan shillings. MTN maintains also the 2nd position in as far as trading is concerned in the last 3 months. In the last series of months, when you at least rank the companies by volumes, MTN comes in the 2nd position as the most traded on stock in the past 3 months. 2nd most traded on stock in the past 3 months. Now, besides MTN Uganda, we had Stanbic Bank record the highest volume. However, the price at Stanbic remained stable at 26 Ugandan shillings. Stanbic traded 92,400 shares on Monday and was followed by MTN and Uganda Clays, as well as Cipla Quality Chemical Industries. Regarding the performance of the benchmark index, the USE All Share Index at least moved up by 9.07 points, closing off at 1,047 points there on the market. And the Uganda Securities Exchange Local Index, on the other hand, decreased by 269.95 points, due of course to the decline of MTN Uganda's stock. But let's also look at, turn our eyes to the Uganda Capital Markets Authority bulletin and have a look at the performance of the the so-called collective investment schemes, or the unit trusts. Unit trusts have become so popular in the recent past, and one of the reasons why is because they provide liquidity, they are easy to deal with, and they give a return, a very attractive return. Over a series of quarters, the reports have shown that the collective investment scheme has improved in number of investors as well as in the amount of money that is invested in this collective investment scheme. Now, at the close of the first quarter, the collective investment scheme managers had a total of 1.7 trillion, to be very precise, 1,753 billions in assets under management, representing an annual growth of 7.9%, rather a growth of 7.9%, a quarterly growth of 7.9% from 1.6 or 1,629 billion at the end of December 2022. The total assets under management grew by 5.3% on an annualized basis as well, from 1.146 trillion Ugandan shillings to a record 1.7 trillion. Remember, this is now comparing the first quarter 2022 and the first quarter 2023. The total number of collective investment scheme accounts also at the end of March also were 44,343 compared to 40,201 in the quarter ended December 2022. That shows the numbers are growing. The accounts have grown and the amount of money invested has also grown. The growth in the assets under management, according to the Capital Markets Authority, is on account of the increased awareness of the benefits of investing in the collective investment scheme, and amongst especially the local members and local investors in various organizations. An increase in the number of collective investment scheme managers has also led to an increase in investment. Now, remember, we started, at least from the inception of the collective investment scheme, we had 1 or 2 or 3 fund managers who are basically international bodies, and they were subsidiaries of international conglomerate companies. But today, we have, for example, Zeno Technologies, which is a brainchild of the Ugandan mind. And this was started by an individual here in Uganda, and is a fund management firm helping various people invest in collective investment schemes. So this is another way that the collective investment schemes have been able to gain popularity. The confidence of investors also has gone up with respect to regulatory protection, according to the Capital Markets Authority. Of course, the Capital Markets Authority, or CMA, is the big regulator over these markets, the watchdog, to make sure things are done right, to make sure that the markets are well monitored and are under the law. Now, looking at, for example, just from 2019, in 2019 we had 156 billion. That was all that was in the collective investment scheme. Now, the graph is very, very increasing. When you look at the trend, it has increased now to 1,000 billions, 1,757 billions. At least more than 10 times in just a period of at least 4 to 5 years. When you look at also the investors here, the biggest fund manager by at least assets under management is currently UAP Old Mutual Financial Services Limited. And under UAP, we have 1.18 trillion worth of funds that are being invested on behalf of investors. ICEA Lion Asset Managers comes in the second place, at least 232 billion. And then you have Britam Asset Managers at 188 billion, whereas Zeno Technologies had 50.9 billion, and Sanlam Kenya at least about 69.9 billion. The new fund manager on board was SBG Securities. SBG Securities is a subsidiary of Stanbic Holdings, and SBG Securities offers stock brokerage services where they have been for quite some time now and have gained a lot of popularity in stock brokerage. They are licensed stock brokers. However, now in the collective investment scheme, they have also started a collective investment scheme or a fund management firm, and SBG Securities. SBG Securities has, at least by the end of the first quarter of 2023, had about 27.7 billion Ugandan shillings worth of assets under management, which is quite very promising on the markets. Now, a breakdown of the assets under management allocation at the end of March indicates that the allocation of government of Uganda bonds took over about 76.3%. There has been a huge and massive investment by fund managers in the treasury bond market. Factors including safety and risk averseness of the investors, and of course the interest or the high returns on the treasury bonds, because generally interest rates have been high, and so the returns have also been quite appetizing on the government securities. However, fixed deposits also accounted for 14.2%. Fixed deposits are bank deposits where people deposit money and earn interest on their deposits. And government of Uganda treasury bills are at least 4.1%. Those are short-term securities, 3 months, 6 months, and a maximum of 1 year. This indicates a market dominated by collective investment scheme funds with interest-bearing instruments as the underlying assets. An annualized trend analysis of the CIS allocation indicates commercial paper and fixed deposit as a percentage of total assets under management to have grown from 0.9% to 13.1%. That means there has been a lot of investment in commercial papers and fixed deposits as well. That is the report, my friend. We are awaiting the Capital Markets Authority to release the second quarter bulletin. We are already in the third quarter of the year, but the second quarter bulletin has not been released. But this is to just remind you, my dear friend, my dear viewer, there are various ways of investing, and the collective investment scheme is one of those ways you can invest very conveniently. The return is annual, but it can be calculated as a daily return. So you have your money growing each and every single day. You add a small percentage to your savings. A collective investment scheme is also something you can consider for your financial goals. If you have emergency funds and maybe you have wealth creation funds, maybe you have your savings, maybe education planning, and so on and so forth. All those can be incorporated in a collective investment scheme. What it does is that because it has a number of investors, the fund manager pools together funds from different investors and has a pool of funds which he can invest at once. The more amounts he invests, the greater the return. The greater the return, the greater the interest he is adding to the shareholders. Of course, he feeds off the commission, which comes from the interest. So if you don't make the interest, or if you don't make the return, the fund manager won't make money. So it means that the fund manager will find a way to see that he invests wisely to make a profit. And fund managers are experienced individuals. They have people who are dealing with this every single day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. They are monitoring the markets. They're investing on your behalf. So you don't have that stress of doing the analysis and getting to know which bonds have been released, going for auctions, or looking at the stock performances. They do all that, of course, after doing a KYC, or know your customer, and knowing your risk appetite. That's a special report from the Capital Markets Authority. But let's return to business here on the Nairobi Securities Exchange and have a look at what the markets were like in Nairobi yesterday. As close of yesterday, there were at least a total of 50 Nairobi Securities Exchange listings that participated in trade. The day ended with 27 gainers and over 13 losers on the market. Stanbic Holdings at least led the gainers with a 7.92% and appreciation in price, closing at 129.50 Kenyan shillings per share. It was followed by EGADS, and EGADS at least appreciated by 7.69%, whereas Britam Holdings appreciated by 6.61%, and Home Africa appreciated by 5.88%. On the losing side, TPS East African Serena, a great hotel there in Kenya, came in at the bottom after losing 9.16%. The Longhorn Publishers lost 5.66%, whereas Liberty Kenya Holdings lost 3.37%, and Jubilee Holdings 2.24%. Kenya Powered Lighting Company continues to be the investors' favorite after recording at a 1.35 million traded shares. Equity Group Holdings also had 1.08 million shares, and Safaricom over 314,300 shares. That's it from the market performance in Nairobi. Remember, to invest across borders is to your own benefit and for the sake of diversification of your portfolio as an investor. Investors nowadays no longer have this sentiment of, okay, I want to just invest in the Ugandan market. I feel safer investing only in bonds. You can diversify, and diversification is now the key to your success as an investor. Thank you so much for tuning in and for watching. Remember, the show is brought to you by OTEX East Africa, and with OTEX we say more money, no hassle, and you can do something new. OTEX is regulated by the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda. Simply dial *292# and follow the prompts to get to enjoy OTEX East Africa trading. OTEX East Africa, you can do something new. And there you have it, my friend. It's a Tuesday. I'll catch you tomorrow. We will be talking tomorrow to Mr. Collins Mutumba about brokerage. So if you have any questions on brokerage, please tune in on the show tomorrow. We'll definitely be giving you answers. Do you want to know the types of brokers? What brokers are there in the forex markets? What brokers are there in the stock markets? How can I select the right broker? How do I know I'm dealing with the right broker? All that and more tomorrow. Otherwise, I wish you a very lovely day. More business coming ahead. Stay tuned.